when we talk about vibration and when we talk about energy, your mouth may be quiet, but the energy that you're emitting may not necessarily be peace and joy. It might be frustration, it might be irritation, it might be anger. And so such is the same with when you come into the space with an animal, right? So you've heard people say dogs can sense fear, dogs know who to chase and who not to chase, or you see some people who are doing their morning walk and a dog will run up on them, and another person will be doing their morning walk and the dog will just go on about his business. Dogs and animals aren't the only people who sense and feel energy, right? So it's the same as when you have a child and the child is like not even verbal, not even talking yet, but they will show out. They will show out with the mama, but they won't show out with the daddy. Why? Because they feel and sense the energy. And then you'll hear the old folks say, that baby know who he can do that with and who he can't do that with. It's because of the energy that the person is emitting. Now, back to thought patterns, speech patterns, and behavior patterns. Sometimes people are, I just got to say it. Sometimes people just, because they just, right? They just been all their life. And so even though you are at the point where you're working to be loving and caring and create an environment of love and peace and joy, their behavior pattern is that, right? So you can be loving and kind and peaceful all you want to. All they know is to be that, right?
Yes.
So then I often say the person who causes the other person to mimic their communication and behavior is the one who is in control. So if you have a child who's rude and disrespectful, and then the parent matches that behavior to show who has the power, who's in control? The child is in control. If you have a significant other who want to complain about how the dishes was put up, or how the towels were folded, or how the t-shirts was put in the drawer, right? If you match that behavior, if you match that energy, then who's in the control? They are. This is why it's so important for us to understand how to develop a mindset and a spirit of love and peace and joy, such that it don't matter if the child is showing out in the grocery store. I still have love and peace and joy, and I still can tell them without lifting a hand, here's what, I'm getting ready to head to the checkout. You need to get up out of that floor and be at the checkout by the time I have paid my money, right? You can be at the house and child or significant other can be on level 10. And you can say, here's what, I understand your anguish and your anger, but in order for me to hear you, lower your voice and speak to me without using profanity. So you literally keep the peace of mind that's necessary to give a response that is not fueled by emotions. But again, this takes practice. This takes mindset management, because your current thought patterns, speech patterns, and behavior patterns are on how you've always dealt with each other, whether that's been some months or that's been some years or that's been some decades. But the good news is it's easier to shift than most people think it is. It's easier to shift than most people say it is. The reason why many people think it's difficult to shift is because you just don't have a plan. You just don't know how to do it. But once you develop the skill set, and focus specifically on you. So many times what we do in tumultuous situations or difficult situations, we focus on how do we change, shift, and influence the other person. Instead, what we want to do is work to change, shift, and influence ourselves. And then really, miraculously, again, people in your life will begin to fall in line, or they will begin to fall off. I'll give you a perfect example. My sister, she is a family girl, has been since we were about 18, 19 years old. And I mean family in, as in, I don't want to go to school. I want to have children and get married. So she's also a person who likes everything neat and in order. And they were getting on her nerves because she said, if I wash the clothes, they can at least put them up, right? If I wash the dishes, they can at least dry them and put them up. If I, whatsoever it is, they can at least. So I often give people tailored, I call them empower plays, but in tailored empower plays, things to do with their words, with their mind, with their actions, to shift the atmosphere. So I told her something specific to do. And about a week and a half later, she called me and she said, now wait a darn minute. And I said, well, what is it? She said, you gave me these sentences to make them start cleaning up. And I said, well, what happened? She said, they not cleaning up. I'm cleaning up. I'm just not fussing about it no more. So sometimes when you go to shift what's going on, right? If you focus on you, if you focus on improving you, how the manifestation comes, we don't care how it comes as long as it comes. But many times what we need to do is focus on us and how we are and who we are. And then things will either fall into place the way we need them to, or we develop the wherewithal to dictate. And I do mean dictate. We develop the wherewithal to dictate how things need to fall in place.